Check out Mike here. So, oh boy, what a dud of a day in the market. And Jerome Powell did speak, by the way, but we just stayed like range bound like crazy. Very subtle. I think the reason why is because we had 3 mega caps reporting. Currently, they're reporting as I'm recording this. Tesla's down, Microsoft's down, Meta, I don't think reported yet because they're not really moving. But we know the initial move doesn't mean anything. We're going to talk about the importance of the call, though, especially with Microsoft and Meta. And then we're going to talk about, more important, I'm going to get this out to you, about what the Fed said, okay, the key highlights and stuff. I'm literally only covering 2 charts in this whole video today because it's going to be shorter than usual. But to get this out there to you, because a lot of things are going to shift coming tomorrow with these earnings and stuff, okay? Now, when you look over here, here's the highlights. Federal Reserve officials held interest rates steady, pausing to assess the inflation outlook. The Federal Open Market Committee voted unanimously, and that's very important, okay? So all of them voted to hold it. No dissension going on there. The decision came amid increasing uncertainty about how inflation will evolve, with the Fed wanting to keep some downward pressure on the economy to ensure inflation costs to their 2%. They did say it does not have to reach 2% in order to cut. Question here from Nikki Leaks here. Is March cut off the table? The broad sense of the committee is that we don't need to be in a hurry to adjust our policy stance. Remember, the market is looking for June for the first rate cut. Nikki Leaks says Powell gives an update on balance sheet. This is the one I was looking for. And when he asked about it, reserves are still abundant. We're closely monitoring conditions. I don't have anything to say about particular dates. And this was big, right? Because remember, they announced last May they were going to cut the roll off in half on the balance sheet, and the market just went boom, and then they enacted it in June. And I think the spot went up like 8% or something over a 2-month span. And so I was kind of wondering, would he do that? Because remember, that is a tool in his back pocket. Even if they don't cut rates, they could come out and say, okay, coming next month, we're going to cut another 25% down on what we're rolling off here, right? And so that's something that can be done. The 10-year initially popped like 1.10, 1.15%, and then it cooled off some. We're going to look at that because this is big, not just for the 10-year, for the dollar as well. So if you're looking at IWM, all that fun stuff, then this is what you want to be looking at. Boy, the first thing I did when I pulled this up, tell me that does not look like a perfect head and shoulders, right? And I looked at this thing and I'm like, not that they got to play out, but you know, there it is. I mean, it just like almost like a perfect head and shoulders. You can see where the neckline would be if it broke. And if you look in this chart, there's many where it said it was head and shoulders, never played out or whatever. But it'll be near where that target I got kind of written down there as far as like support is. But the big thing is when you're looking at this is, does it break right there, 4.5? If it breaks 4.5, again, you got this fair value gap, which will slow that drop down. You got a trend line. But if this starts to break down, then yes, IWM is going to perform very well. And then also, obviously, the market will like that because it'll take pressure off lending rates. Housing stocks will probably like it, all that fun stuff. The other thing is the dollar. If this starts to break down, as you can see, it already broke this trend line. It starts to come down, not exactly head and shoulders, but almost close to it. Then, you know, that's going to be good. So when the big boys start to bring all that revenue, 50% comes from overseas, back in, they're going to be able to put more to the bottom line. Also, emerging markets are going to absolutely start pumping more. That's for sure. Using the dollar breaks down, they start to pump more. And so, again, it could be, you know, a tailwind, I guess is the best way to put it, for a lot of things. But when you look at where we're at an important level here, right? It's coming up into what will be support in the past, resistance, all that fun stuff. And when we scroll back over, because it's been a while since we've been this high, you can see that's kind of where it's at, right? It's at this point where it's like, okay, is it going to break down? This level has been pretty dang important right here. So if the dollar starts to weaken, if yields start to weaken, then yes, the market could come into moving up, especially going into what we know seasonality is good in the first at least couple weeks of February, depending on how these earnings are working out tonight. We got to see how the market reacts and what the forward guidance is. I will tell you this, boy, did the dip get bought up. Man, buying the QQQ dip. Saw the biggest one-day inflow since 2021, so 3 years, and you can see it. And I know a lot of it went in Nvidia. I mean, it was a lot of money going into Nvidia right there. And yeah, a lot of people bought that dip. And this chart's floating all over the place about shorts have thrown in the towel. It's not actually true. Again, it's down here in the dumps, but as you can see, it's been trending down a long time. What happened was, now you have zero DTE. I think it makes like 50% of the options every day. A lot of people playing futures. They are shorting the futures market. They may not just be shorting the S&P 500 as much. And so it's just a lot of different options to go with now. A lot of people are doing what? They're doing leverage ETFs now. You didn't have that back in 2012. I don't even know if you had it in 2016. So just a lot of different things. So I think this chart is really misleading, just FYI. It's like a lot of people don't use margin anymore because there's so many different things you can do now. when it comes to leverage. All right, so looking at today, obviously always a flip tomorrow depending on how earnings go. You can see wasn't a lot of green. You got fintech, communication, jets, utilities, a lot more red on the day, clearly. And you can see the things that were hot yesterday were mostly not today besides fintech, communications. Stocks was okay. And again, we'll get into Nvidia because this is going to be the big one. This is where you got to listen up to. And we're going to talk about the Nvidia chart for one main reason. One, where it's at. Two, when you listen to the earnings calls or what you're looking for on Twitter or wherever you get your news from, you want to listen to Microsoft Meta talk about CapEx. Are they decreasing, increasing, or just staying the same? If they're staying the same or increasing, that's good for Nvidia. If they come out and say, nope, we're decreasing, blah, 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 that is not good. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. That's what you're listening for. Also listen for Tesla. I mean, see what they got to say because they, I assume, need those chips for robots and everything else. But when you look at the chart, it just hung out around the 200-day and lost it multiple times. Got these anchor VWAPs. That is from today's drop right there. But the big one's this one right here. That was the big drop right on the whatever that stupid Chinese app was or whatever. And you can see where's it getting rejected at. It's getting rejected right there, I think 8 times today. And, you know, when you look at this, and this is a 15-minute chart, but it's got to get above that, above the other anchor VWAP, stay above the 200. And so this will be big. So just listen into that. And that's what we talked about yesterday. You know, it's an oversold bounce yesterday. That's what it was. Okay. And so these things take time to digest when you have a big move down like that. Questions will be getting answered tonight on some of these earnings calls to alleviate that. But again, if you lose a 200, especially if you lose 116, I got that one marked out on the chart. If you lose 116, then say hello to like 108. But again, just keep 116 in mind, keep that 200 moving average in mind. Now, Bob, if you were in this right here, somebody asked me about this, I'm going to do it. 100 obviously is a brick wall for this one. If it gets above 100, you can bet money you're going to 113, 120, somewhere in that range. Why? We just look at the last 2 years. Multiple rejections, right, at that 100. But if you made it through, it got to that shaded box, I think, every single time over the last 2 years. And so it's had a big move over the last few days. It's actually been one of the best performing Chinese stocks there is. A lot of people are buying options on this one. So again, a lot of profit taking right there, no doubt. Where can it come back down to if this move continues? Because you look at the last times it really broke through, it was on a huge candle to push it through, right, on the daily right there. And anytime other than that, you saw a rejection and it just came back down. So when we look at this, if it comes back down, again, with some more weakness, then there is a nice 4-hour fair value gap right here. We'll draw another trend line, which will probably meet it. So we'll mark both of these out and say, okay, if it does come down and we get this bounce right here, you can see this trend line. We'll get an intersection on the 4-hour fair value gap right there. So really anywhere, what it looks like from 92 to 94.45, if it comes down, right, that will be, you know, an area where we can look for a bounce. Okay. Again, I'm not going to a lot of these charts because a lot of stuff's going to change tomorrow. Now, when you look at earnings tomorrow, got some more big ones. UPS, MasterCard, Southwest is another one. Airline's been doing really well. Caterpillar's another one. Apple's the big boy. Okay. That thing's been moving up like crazy and it's really been holding up. Intel, Visa is another one. Okay, Visa will let us know how we're doing. More big news, you'll have advanced GDP, unemployment claims, and then pending home sales and natural gas storage we'll pay attention to because that's been breaking out lately. And so we'll see if that continues. So again, we'll have the big earnings tonight. We'll see where it leaves us at tomorrow and how overnight trades. But hope you got some out of it. Want to do a little bit shorter for you and just get it out here. Please hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Think about signing up for the membership. Less than McDonald's combo. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another fun one. So buckle up.